In this demonstration, we are going to run through the procure to pay process. We are going to create a vendor, create a purchase order for the vendor, receive the purchase order, invoice the purchase order, and then generate a payment to the vendor. So to get started, we are going to open procurement and sourcing, and then vendors, and all vendors. Once the form opens, we are going to click New in the action pane to create a new vendor. In the new record form, we are going to enter some information about the vendor, starting with a vendor account. So the first thing we're going to do is enter US 256 as the vendor account. And then in the name field, we are going to enter Denver Office Supplies. And this will automatically populate the search name field. In the group field, we are going to select 10 from the drop-down list for the parts vendor. And we are going to scroll down to the Addresses Fast tab. And in the Addresses Fast tab, we're going to click Add so we can add a new address. On this form, we are going to enter some basic information. So first, we're going to enter the name or description, and in this case, it's going to be Downtown Denver Office Supplies. And then we're going to leave the purpose as business, the country or region as USA, and then we are going to enter a zip or postal code, and this will be 80246. And you'll notice this populates the city, state, and county information. In the street field, we are going to enter 1234 Red Street, and then we verify all of this information is correct, and then we'll click OK. Now that we're back on the vendor form, we are going to enter some payment information. So we are going to right-click on the Fast tab over here, and we're going to click Collapse All so we can find the tab that we need. We can see the Payment Fast tab here, so we'll click that to expand it. And in this information, we are going to look at the payment terms. So the payment terms is listed as net 30, so we're going to leave that as is. And then we're going to click the method of payment dropdown, and we are going to select electronic payment. Now that we've entered that information, we can click Save in the action pane. Now we're going to create a purchase order for the vendor. So from this vendor account form, we are going to click the Procurement tab in the action pane, and in the New section, we are going to click Purchase Order. Once the purchase order form opens, we are going to enter some information on the purchase order line's Fast tab, starting with the item number. So in the item number field, we're going to enter M0002. And the system is going to search for that item number, and it brings up the mid-range speaker unit. So we're going to select the item there. And once we have selected that, it will populate some information for us, including the product name, a site, and a warehouse. So we're going to scroll to the right to add some more information. In this case, we are going to update the quantity. The quantity is currently 1, and we're going to update that to 5. And then we're going to click Save in the action pane. And now that we've saved it, we can see that the status is listed as approved. So we are going to click Purchase in the action pane. And then in the Generate section, we are going to click Confirmation. And then on the Confirm Purchase Order screen, we are going to review the details. And once we're satisfied, we'll click OK. And now that we've confirmed the purchase order, you can see that the status here is listed as confirmed. So now we're going to receive the purchase order and invoice the purchase order. So to get started, we are going to click Receive in the action pane, and then we are going to click Product Receipt. On the Posting Product Receipt form, we are going to enter a product receipt number. So we're going to enter 1234 and then review the details. And when we're satisfied, we will click OK. Now that we've finished that, we are going to now generate an invoice. So in the action pane, we are going to click the Invoice tab, and then in the Generate section, we will click Invoice. Once the vendor invoice form opens, we're going to enter some information. In the invoice identification section, we are going to enter a number. So we're going to click on the field and we are going to enter 5678 for our invoice identification number. Then we need to update the match status. So in the action pane, we are going to click Update Match Status. Once that process is completed, we are going to click Post in the action pane to post the invoice. Now that we have completed that, we get this message that says the vendor invoice posting process is complete for the vendor with the invoice number of 5678. So we're going to close this form, and now we are going to generate the payment to the vendor. To get started with that, we are going to go to Accounts Payable, and then Payments, and Payment Journal. On the Payment Journal form, we are going to click New in the action pane to generate a new payment journal. The first thing that we're going to do is select Vend Pay in the name field. And once that information is populated, we are going to click the journal batch number to open the journal. Now that we can see the vendor payments list, we are going to update the account entry here. We are going to enter US 256. And this will populate the vendor name and the currency. Next, we will click the Settle Transactions button. Once the Settle Transactions form opens for the vendor, we are going to select the Mark checkbox for the line, and then we'll review the other details here, and then we'll click OK when we're ready to move on. Now that we are back on the vendor payments form, we are ready to generate a payment. So the first thing we're going to do is click Generate Payments in the action pane. And on the Generate Payments form, we're going to fill in some information. So the first thing we're going to do is update the method of payment to electronic. And then for bank account, we are going to make a selection here. And we are going to select operating account. Next, we are going to click OK. And in the next form, we are going to look at the file information, and then we will click OK to continue. And once we finish that, we can click Post in the action pane to post the vendor payment. And then we can close the forms.